I'm not telling this for sympathy. I'm telling it because I believe in second chances. My name is Derrick Wallace. I'm 50 years old. I spent 12 years behind bars for a mistake I made when I was 23. Today, I build small homes for the homeless. Not for money, but for something far more important, because I once knew what it felt like to be left behind. When I walked out of prison, I had no job, no savings, no connections, just a pair of hands, a few carpentry skills I learned in prison, and a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, I could rebuild. But second chances aren't handed out like candy. You have to carve them out of stone, hammer by hammer, until your sweat means something again. Until people stop seeing your past and start seeing your purpose. There's something strange that happens when you've lost everything. You begin to value the smallest things. A warm cup of coffee, a quiet night, the sound of rain on a roof. These things feel like miracles when you've been stripped of freedom. I was 23 when I made a stupid decision. I was broke, angry, and tired of being invisible. I thought robbing a convenience store with a kitchen knife would be a quick fix. It wasn't. I didn't hurt anyone, but the law didn't care. The judge gave me 12 years. Just like that, my freedom was gone. Prison doesn't just lock your body. It cages your soul. It dulls your senses. You forget what silence sounds like. You forget how to feel. I watched birthdays pass through bulletproof glass. Friends stopped writing. My little sister got married without me there. My father died, and I wasn't allowed to attend the funeral. But what broke me most wasn't the time. It was my mother's eyes on the first visit. She looked at me like she didn't recognize her son. She cried silently, holding my hand through the plastic barrier. I stopped being angry. I started being ashamed. And shame is heavy. It doesn't scream. It whispers. Every time I looked in the mirror, it was there. By year 5, I was drowning inside. That's when I overheard 2 older inmates talking about a carpentry class. They spoke about it like it was therapy, like sawdust could save your soul. I didn't know how to use a hammer, but something inside me whispered, "Build." So I signed up. And I was terrible at it. Crooked cuts, splintered wood, blisters everywhere. But my instructor, Mr. Gonzalez, a retired contractor, was patient. He once told me, "Wood doesn't lie, Wallace. You either respect it or it won't respect you." That stuck with me. Just like the calluses on my hands, just like the growing sense that I could make something new, not just out of wood, but out of myself. By year 8, I was mentoring new guys, showing them how to measure twice, cut once, how to believe they could do something right, how to stand tall without violence, but with purpose. And I started to dream, not about getting out, but about what I might do after, about making my time mean something, about walking free. Not just from bars, but from who I used to be. When I got out at 35, I had carpentry certifications and nowhere to go. No one wanted to hire an ex-con. I applied everywhere, no calls back. I lived in my cousin's garage. I fixed fences, patched roofs, took any job I could get. I saved every dollar. Every night I'd lie on an air mattress, staring at the ceiling, wondering if the world would ever let me in again, wondering if I'd ever be more than my worst moment. Then one night I saw a man sleeping under an overpass. Thin blanket, shopping cart. It hit me like a freight train. That could have been me. That was me. That night I sketched a tiny shelter on the back of a pizza box. One window, a door, a roof that wouldn't leak. Something with dignity, something warm, something human. 2 weeks later, I built it. My first tiny home. I found the man again, his name was Curtis, and gave it to him. He touched the walls like they were gold. That night, I cried. But not from pain, from purpose. For the first time, I had built something that mattered. It didn't solve all his problems, but it gave him something most people take for granted. A place to belong. If you've come this far into my story, maybe something has struck a chord. Maybe you know what it means to start over, or want to help someone who needs to. Hit that like button. Subscribe, because someone out there is still sleeping on the ground tonight, and your support might help them find shelter, hope, or even their own second chance. Your click may be small, but the ripple it creates could be enormous. You can be part of a chain reaction. You don't need to build a home, but maybe you can build belief. I called the project Second Nail because we all deserve a second chance to fix what we broke. I used leftover materials from job sites, donated tools, scrap wood. People began to notice. A retired lady dropped off a box of screws each week. Kids drew signs that said, "Thank you." A church let me use their parking lot as a build site. In 3 years, I built 47 shelters. Each home has a story. Angela, a single mom escaping abuse, who now calls her shelter our castle. Maurice, a veteran with PTSD who finally sleeps through the night. Janelle, a former addict who turned her shelter into a small art studio where she paints to stay clean. Keith, a teenager kicked out for being gay, who told me the tiny house gave him his first real sense of peace. I also hired 2 other men who'd been incarcerated, Chris and Tony. We built together. We healed together. On our first build together, Chris said, "Man, I never thought I'd matter like this." I told him, "Me neither." We didn't just build walls. We tore down the ones inside us. Some days we sang while working. Other days we cried without shame. Wood became therapy. Nails became prayers. And each finished roof felt like redemption. I'm 50 now. I live in a modest 1-bedroom. I drive a beat-up truck. My meals are simple, but I've never felt richer. Every time I hand someone a key to their new shelter, I remember what it felt like to have no keys at all. I don't build for profit. I build to give people back their dignity, because I've been locked out, literally and metaphorically. And I know the power of being let back in. People think freedom is just not being in jail, but real freedom? It's knowing you have something to wake up for, something that matters. It's knowing that your past doesn't control your future, that redemption is possible, not just for saints, but for sinners willing to build again. Sometimes people ask, "Do you think you've paid your debt to society?" And I say, "I'm still paying it, every time I pick up a nail gun." You can't undo the past, but you can build something better with what's left. So if you're listening and think your mistake defines you, it doesn't. Start small. 1 board, 1 screw, 1 act of good. Even the tiniest shelter can hold the biggest kind of hope. And maybe, just maybe, you can build more than a house. Maybe you can build a life worth living. Maybe the next person you help will turn around and help someone else. And maybe, just maybe, that's how we build a better world. 1 tiny home, 1 humbled heart, 1 second chance at a time.